Hi everyone, I'm Miranda and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm talking about my March book haul, which I know is a little bit late, but I've had a very busy week, so I'm having to record a few of my March videos in April. So sorry about that. And also I've had a lot of books arrive this month. I've been sent quite a few from publishers and I've also bought quite a few myself. So what I thought I'd do was just give some highlights from the books that I got in March, because there still is a really big stack, but it would just take forever to go through them all. So let's get started. I bought this book myself. It's called Business as Usual by Jane Oliver and Anne Stafford. And I've heard so many good things about this. I think it's set in the 1930s and it's about a young woman who writes letters to her fiancé. She's working at a department store on Oxford Street, which I think is a very thinly disguised Selfridges. I myself worked as like a shop girl at Harrods when I was an undergraduate. So I'm really curious to read this and see what life as a shop girl was like in the 1930s. This is an epistolatory novel. It's told in letter form and I always enjoy those types of novels. It's also illustrated, which I always think is really charming. Here's one of the illustrations, and I think it's just meant to be very light and quite funny, so this will be a perfect read for me at the moment. Next up, I love nature books and books about nature. This is Losing Eden, Why Our Minds Need the Wild by Lucy Jones. I actually went to a talk that Lucy Jones gave once at Quo Vadis in Soho, and she talked really interestingly about nature and about the book that she was working on, which turned out to be this one. So I was really happy to buy it once it came out. This looks really interesting. It's a non-fiction book, and I think in it Lucy's really examining the science behind why nature is so good for us. So I'm really curious to read this because I think we all know instinctively how good it is to get outside into nature when we can, but this actually really examines the science as to why that is true. So I'm definitely intrigued to read this one. Then this I was sent by a publisher. It's Fleischmann is in Trouble by Taffy Brodesser-Akner. I hope I've said her name right. I heard so much about this book when the hardback came out. I think that was like a while before Christmas. And I kept picking it up and looking at it, but I heard some mixed reviews of the book, so I wasn't sure. So I was really happy when the paperback turned up as a surprise in the post. And I am curious to read it. I was in New York City last summer. My dad and my uncle live in New York, so I'm always quite intrigued to read books that are set in New York. This is about a middle-aged man whose marriage has failed and he's sort of out on the dating landscape again, and it's meant to be really interesting. Like I said, I've heard some mixed reviews, but it also has had a lot of really good press as well, and I think it was a debut novel, and it obviously is a really, really good debut novel, so I'm definitely intrigued to read this one. And then I was sent this little stack of books by the publisher as well, which was lovely. I really am a big fan of the Letters of Note website and the Letters of Note books, which are wonderful collections of famous and also not so famous letters from around the world and through the ages, and they're collected together under different topics that you can browse online and also in the books. And I love reading other people's letters. I find them fascinating. So I was so pleased to get this little collection. This is a Letters of Note Mothers, and then they've done a collection of letters on cats. I love the cover of this one. I think that's so cute. Letters about war. Letters about love, letters about music, and letters about art. There are also a few more titles in the series. There's Space Fathers, New York, I might have to get that one, Dogs, I love dogs, so I definitely want that one, and Sex. So these are some of the ones that they sent me. I haven't got those others, but I'd be quite tempted to get all of those as well, because they're just chosen. I think it's Sean Usher is the sort of editor of the website, and he compiles these letter collections, and yeah, I think they're brilliantly chosen, and I've used them as tea reads episodes on my Tea and Tattle podcast in the past, so I'm sure that I'm going to really enjoy looking through all of these. Then I was so excited to get Hamlet by Maggie O'Farrell. Oh, I was really looking forward to getting this book. I love Maggie O'Farrell's writing, and this is about Shakespeare's son, both his son and his daughter, and I really can't wait to read it. I can't wait to see how Maggie O'Farrell brings Shakespeare in England alive and how she deals with this subject matter. I'm just really excited to read this book. Let me know if you're reading it too. I'm sure lots of you will be, and yeah, I can't wait to get through this one. And then the publisher also sent me this one. This is Dominicana by Angie Cruz. And I was really excited to get this in the mail because this book has been longlisted for the Women's Prize. So I really am interested to read it. It's about a young woman living in the Dominican countryside in the 1960s, and she agrees to marry a man when he says that he'll take her to New York City and she'll sort of start life afresh over there. But that marriage sounds like it doesn't go very well. So I'm really intrigued to read this. It's had such rave reviews. I've also read that the author based this story on the life of her mother. So I think it's lovely that this has such a personal connection to the author and that it is based on real life events, a real life person's story anyway. It's meant to be a beautiful coming of age book about a young woman. It's about immigration as well, and obviously life in New York City as an immigrant, and I'm really intrigued to read it. I'm sure it will be good. Then another book I was kindly sent by the publisher. This is The Lost Properties of Love by Sophie Ratcliffe. This sounds really interesting. It's a memoir, and it just sounds like it will be the sort of thing I'd enjoy. It says, Sophie Ratcliffe is losing the plot, torn between keeping a career and marriage afloat and the ever-changing demands of parenthood. She's beginning to wonder who she is anymore. How do you learn to be a grown-up when you've never got over the death of a parent? What makes a happy family? What happens if you can't stop thinking about an ex? And what does commitment really mean? In this genre-defying memoir, Sophie Ratcliffe travels through time, space, and great literature to capture the complex and often messy nature of life, love, and grief. This sounds really good. I was particularly intrigued because when the publisher wrote to me about this book, they said that Sophie does reference great literature in the work, and I'm always interested to read writers writing about other writers and how classic books have influenced their lives. So I think I will enjoy this one. I'm looking forward to it, and also I just love the cover. How attractive is that? I think that's so fun. So yeah, really looking forward to this one. This was also sent to me by a publisher. It's Good Citizens Need Not Fear by Maria Riva, and this is a Virago book, yes, and it's had good reviews already. Margaret Atwood on the cover says, bright, funny, satirical and relevant, a new talent to watch. And apparently this is a collection of short stories. I think it's short stories. Yeah, it is. And it says, the stories are united around a crumbling apartment building in Ukraine that heralds the arrival of a major new talent. I'm really intrigued to read this because I don't think I've read much, if any, Ukrainian literature before. So I'm really looking forward to this. And again, short stories I enjoy. That's great for me to read right now, and sometimes I just want quite bite-sized literature that doesn't require a lot of concentration to get through. It's quite a slim collection anyway, which is also nice. It's nice when you feel you can just get through a book quite quickly. So I'm really intrigued to try this one. Also, another great cover. I think that design is really good. Okay, and then I bought this book myself. It's Meryem by Leonie Charlton. It says Memories of Sea and Spider Silk. This is set in the Hebridean landscape, which I'm really looking forward to reading about. I've never been to the Hebrides, but it just sounds so beautiful there, and I can't wait to read about this place that I've always wanted to visit. And it's a memoir as well. It's about Leonie travelling on Highland ponies around the Hebridean countryside with her friend. I think there's quite a lot about the Highland ponies in this, and I can't wait because they're so cute. And oh yeah, I think I'm going to love this book. Apparently her descriptions of the landscape and light and the people that they encounter are really beautiful in this. It's meant to be very well written, and it's also about Leonie looking back on her relationship with her mother, which was apparently quite a difficult, very fractured relationship, but hopefully she comes to terms with that somehow through writing this memoir and through this adventure that she goes on. So I'm really looking forward to this. I think this will be really good. And then another memoir that I'm dying to read. Oops, sorry, all the stack of books just fell over. Oh, there are a lot. Anyway, I pre-ordered this as soon as I heard about it because I was really excited to read it. It's called Dark Salt Clear, Life in a Cornish Fishing Town by Lamorna Ash. And this is about Lamorna, whose mother, I think, absolutely adored Cornwall, and she had all these memories of Cornwall from her childhood. And she decided to go and spend about a year, I think, or so, at Newlyn, which is a small fishing town in Cornwall near Penzance. And she went out on the fishing boats and learnt to fish and also prepare and gut fish and, you know, do all that messy, hard work of a fisherman and just really see what life as a contemporary fisherman in Cornwall is like. And I'm just so intrigued by that premise. I adore Cornwall. I've been to Penzance and Newlyn and St Ives and Mousehole and all these places that she's meant to describe in this book. And I've heard that the writing is extraordinary. William Dalrymple has the cover quote, and it says, "Marks the birth of a new star of non-fiction." And I've read just the beginning of this already, and I was really taken up by her writing style from the start. So I just can't wait to read this. I can't wait to read about a place that I know and love, but a sort of side to it that I really don't know anything about. I'm really intrigued to learn more on what her experience of that was, especially as a woman too. I think that will be really interesting. This is also a BBC Radio 4 Book of the Week, which you can listen to at the moment. So I'll put a link to that as well in the description box down below if you want to get a bit of a taste of the book. And then I also bought this book myself, The Bass Rock by Evie Wilde. I've heard loads of good things about this. It sounds really interesting. It's kind of a sort of time slip back and forth type book, I think, because it says, in the early 1700s, Sarah, accused of being a witch, flees for her life. In the aftermath of the Second World War, Ruth navigates a new house, a new husband, and the strange waters of the local community. 6 decades later, the house stands empty. Viv, mourning the death of her father, catalogues Ruth's belongings and discovers her place in the past and perhaps a way forward. So that just sounds really intriguing to me. A story about 3 women who are linked in some way, and yes, I can't wait to read this. I don't know a whole lot more about it than that, but I like going into books without knowing too much often, and I've just heard that lots of people have been raving about this one, so I'm keen to try it. And then I also bought this one, The Ninth Child by Sally McNusson, which I really am looking forward to reading as well. This is set in the Highlands during the Victorian era, and it's about a young woman who has to move with her husband to the Highlands when he's employed to work on some new waterworks that are being built there. And I think she initially feels very out of place. She's struggling, I think, to conceive again, or there's some theme of conceiving a child and childbirth that goes on, I think, in this book, and a lot of the superstitions around that. And I think this delves into the sort of folklore that was common in the Highlands in Victorian society. So it just sounds like there's a lot there to intrigue and that I will really enjoy. So I'm really looking forward to this one too. And I love the cover. I think that's really a gorgeous cover, and you've probably gathered this by now, but I love reading books that are set in Scotland. So this will be a great one to add to my list of Scottish reads. But anyway, those are the books that I've bought and that have been sent to me this month that I really can't wait to dive into. I'd love to know if any of these books are on your to be read pile, or if you want to add any of these to your to be read pile now. Do let me know what books you bought in March, and I hope you're all keeping very well. Thank you so much for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, which you can do by clicking my face that pops up here. But I'll be back again very soon with another video. Bye!